So let's talk about the guy in the middle, the medium. That's the guy that's matched.
Mm.
And the guy that's matched has the widest variety. He can use any ball on this sheet,
Anything.
anything. And it becomes a what am I bowling on and what do I bowl in? So for him, so if he bowls a lot of tournaments, he has to have a bigger arsenal. If he bowls tournaments that are house shot and sport shot, he probably needs the whole board. Pretty close to it,
Mm-hmm.
and he can do it. He can use all of them on the right condition. You know, it's rare that he'll run into something that he doesn't have a chance to play on. Whereas a guy like low speed rev dominant player, he can be shut out pretty easily if they're that dry. I mean, he doesn't throw it hard. His rev rate's pretty high. At some point, he's going to have to throw a plastic ball or the equivalent of a plastic ball, and when that happens, he's going to lose hit. So, if it's a tournament, for instance, that has multiple squads, then you have to get a whole lot of it when that pattern matches your style. So, if you're a low speed, low rev player, low speed, higher rev player, you're probably going to do well on the fresh.
We get a couple questions that I think we should address before we go any further.
Sure.
So it's mainly to do with what speed ranges are considered high or low, and is it determined off the pins, at the pins, or off the hand?
Yeah, well, your reading is going to be at the pins, and that's usually 2 to 3 miles slower
sometimes
than
more.
what it was right off your hand. So if it's reading 15 at the pins, you could be 12.
It's
13.
I've found on Throwbot 20 to 25%, depending on what kind of ball you're throwing, of how much speed it loses going down the lane, and a lot of that speed loss is right in the last 20 feet or so. The ball slows down dramatically when it hits the dry boards.
Yeah, and understand, if you're throwing a plastic ball straight at the head pin, it's going to read faster.
Sure, but we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
But realistically, I would say off your hand. So average speed. Well, didn't they come up with a USBC study? The average speed was about 17 miles per hour off your hand. The USBC study.
That's what they said. Right, exactly.
Yeah. Matched. So a medium speed 17. On the high end, you're talking the pros 19, sometimes up to 20, depending on how they're playing the lanes. But you see a lot of the pros throwing it 18 and a half plus. I would say 18 and a half plus is probably pretty high speed.
Sure it is.
And
that's above average speed.
And really, we go 13, 14 on the low end for our Throwbot testing. Our testers that are low speed, 13 and a half, 14 miles per hour. That's considered slow, lower speed.
Right.
And then we talked about rev rates on previous shows. Like, what is, a medium rev rate? Well, it comes down to if it's matched, so a 200 RPM with a 13 mile per hour could be a matched player.
And there's nothing wrong with the speed. It's not good or bad. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. If you're matched, you could be matched at any number.
Mm-hmm.
I'm matched at a high rev rate. I'm matched at a low rev rate.
Yeah.
The scenarios of the outliers are when there's a variant between your rev rate and your ball speed.
Right.
And that's where you have to be careful on what balls you drill and what balls you put in your arsenal. That's why I said the guy in the middle that's matched, he can just about buy anything he wants and figure out a way to throw it, or it'll be something he bowls on that he can throw it.
Yeah.
The guys in the corners are limited.
Yeah. I would say a scenario where match speed and rev, say medium speed, medium rev, would be somewhere around 17 miles per hour off the hand. Mm-hmm. And between 300 and 350, maybe as high as 375 would be matched.
Right.
I would say in that range. As you go further up, like Keanu Revs, for instance, or now Rudy Revs now in our thing, 20 and a half miles an hour, 600 RPMs. Right. On a lot of balls, he's speed dominant,
Yep.
Throws it right past the break point every time. It doesn't until you get to the really dull balls that the ball slows down right.
Right. So, and again, that's how I mean, when you start throwing stuff and playing, and I don't know, this is like I'm just winging it now, thinking out loud. If you went to the bowling center and you're not sure what you are, take a ball and go fiddle with the surface. You'll find out in a hurry.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you hit a ball that you have that you like, and maybe it's not rolling as good as you think it is, well, go play with the surface a little bit. You know, hit it with 800 or 1,000 and see where it burns up, or if it does burn up. And if it doesn't, then you know that you're probably speed dominant.
Right.
But if you hit it with 3,000, or 2,000 and it burns up, then you know that you're rev dominant.
Right.
You know, and that's not getting into the tilt, axis of rotation, or drill patterns. I'm just talking about the basics here. You know, I mean, if we got into tilt and rotation, we would need 3 hours, or maybe we'll do it in another session. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know.
We can,
so when
we could do it with Stevie Fresh, but he's more of a core guy.
Yeah,
he doesn't care what's on the outside of the core.
No, but he still knows about it. So
I know.
And then we didn't even get into drilling. So I'm just talking about, you know, a starting point. Now we're going to talk about drillings a little bit because you need to look at after drilling numbers. You know, if you're a low speed rev dominant player, you need to look at drill patterns that keep the RG as high as possible and the differentials as low as possible. By the same token, if you're a low rev high speed player, so you're speed dominant, you want to look at drill patterns that lower the RG and increase the differential. And every one of we're the only company that does it. So you can go open up the box, go pull out a sheet and look at it and say, I know that I'm speed dominant. I'm going to drill this pattern because it gives me the most differential and the lowest RG.
Yep.
So what I did was I put little arrows to say, for me, if you're building a basic arsenal, you should only use balls if you're in the four corners or the middles that the arrows touch the boxes. So for instance, if you are a medium diff for high RG, medium diff ball, ideal for medium speed, high rev player. Okay. He can use the balls across the top and the middle mostly. Okay. He probably could extend to the other two, but to build a basic arsenal, you want to start with that type of ball, medium speed. You want a high RG, medium differential ball. You probably can have a high RG low diff and a high RG high diff, and you'll be okay. Okay. If you want to add a ball, then you go to the medium RG, medium diff, and that should cover you. You know, yeah, you can probably drill 9 balls and I can tweak them, play with the surfaces and everything. We're talking about building a basic starting point arsenal.